to experience every psychiatric condition for myself and then have to decipher exactly how to help each mental health condition. And what I found during this journey is the greatest, I went to the Amazon, I worked with all the plants, did all of these things, but the greatest gift that Creator has given me and what I found to help myself through my healing journey was always there, right under my breath, free and abundant. And it is the power of the breath. And so I dedicated the last 10 years learning all different types of breath works, learning for myself when I want to calm down, what's the breath work? When I want to energize, what's the breath work? When I want to raise the Kundalini, what's the breath work? When I want to travel in the higher dimensions, what's the best breath work? So I've been passionately studying this art for myself, for my own healing journey. And it would be an honor to bring it to life and to offer it to as many people as possible for such a time as this. So yeah, that's who I am for now.
Yes. So definitely, if you would, Tulaya, give a hand and make a conduit there so we can get on that part and sort through on that side. And now I want to go to Noah. Noah comes from a special place that I had the opportunity to go to, and he's just really a manifestation of the 7th generation, that the spirit of that island, no matter what's been done to it, is coming back. So if you would, Noah, I'd be honored if you would, Toshka, if you'd share your who you are and where you come from.
I'm Noah Hance. I'm working with Phil through Western Washington University. I'm a computer science major, and I'm originally from Guam. The work that I hope to do with Phil is to try to maintain that cultural history that we were discussing was in a great way lost to tomorrow's. So to try to keep that from happening is something that I think my web experience can have a good hand in.
Yes. Could you share, I really love the image of how you see the image of the tree in this whole new conceptual idea of our website. It's a little bit of how that, I love the image. It's something very unique. It's almost organic coming out of the screen.
The mock-up that I was sharing last meeting?
Yes.
Yes. It says I need to free to allow share screen sharing.
Sure, here you go. 1 second here. This is kind of just I let it all happen. So so here we go. Make co-host. There you go. Perfect. There you go.
Okay. So just be a minute. Hold on.
No problem. Yeah, I went to Guam back in 1988.
Oh, you've been?
Oh yeah, I've been. Oh yeah, I went there because after we made the Honorable Story of Alkali Lake, I went there because the alcoholism there, they're being faced by your relatives directly. And we brought the Honorable the Story of Alkali Lake story there, the whole story of sobriety, and hopefully we left behind some alcohol programs, and hopefully some of the relatives got a hold of that. Because they were, when we went, probably the alcoholism rate was about 95%. I don't know what it is now, but I think it's gotten a lot better. I mean, look at your billions. I mean, not that you're an alcoholic, I'm just saying that. I mean, here, I know what went on that island. I know how terrible the relatives were treated there, stomped on, run over, marginalized by all these racists that ended up over there. So I know that background. So go ahead.
All right, here it is. Right here. Yes. Right here. So when I wanted to someone's waiting to be admitted to the room.
Okay, I'll get him. Oh, the Brother Lee. Okay. Okay.
So what I wanted to get across with this mock-up that me and let's see, there we go. That me and two others are trying to get across is a big part of the philosophy is know who you travel with, and with the digital age, there's like a need for kind of layered users. So there'd be like active core people who actually kind of run the community, and then connected are people that participate in building this living document, which would be in the form of a website. For instance, this could be a category for the 16 principles, starting from within one of the principles and then kind of branching as a tree, could go into more in depth. Those principles, like each of these is a little section of starting from within. And as people contribute to that document, it would show who's contributing, how that's being interacted with, and these categories would also be found in more of like a visual tree on the site.
Yes. Yeah. So I want to Tulaya and to Tiffany and to the technical part of the team to really, I'll be visiting with Noah about things. He's already doing work with his team from Western University, really great team. But now I'm going to get somebody's time working on a thing with Nicole, professor there, to bring him over to give us a hand on some of this, the kind of technical side we need to have for that. So, by the way, Brother Lee, this was kind of an impromptu meeting because what happened was, as much as my old mind thought that meeting was today at Sunday, when I actually scheduled it, it's for next Sunday. So, so here we are with this really incredible small group that we've been introducing here, and then you come. We had Tiffany gave her kind of where her whole part of this. And we had Noah just came, who's part of our team out of Western University. He shared. We had Dr. Samuel Lee. I don't know if Sam's still here with us or not, but he was here. And so now, why don't we have Joan, Sister Joan, and I don't know how well you know Lee. I know you're both Salagi. I like that rhyming. But really, introduce, if you'd share a little bit, it'd be great. And then we'll go to Tulaya.
Yeah, Lee, I remember Lee from a long time ago when we were all much younger and maybe not as sweet, but all much younger and energetic, certainly. Satanana Dagodel, my traditional name is Inde after the other side of my family. It's not Chalagi at all. And people always sort of go, but I tell them don't bother and try and pronounce it. Joan Henry is just fine. That two first name thing, it's just fine. What I'm really working with is something I've been working with and teaching from, particularly with youth, particularly with teens at a high school level, but also with young adults and with adults. I've been teaching the use of talking circles in our traditional way and teaching using a traditional model for years, right? I mean, the one place I'm thinking of 30 and then 20 before that, I've worked with a lot of, I've worked with and continue, I work with Vassar College. That's less important than what I'm doing, actually. And what I'm doing right now is significant to me. And it's the warm up for what we're opening up at the university, is that Phil and I are training the Indigenous students, the Indigenous employees of the Canadian government through one of their organizations, Knowledge Circle for Indigenous Inclusion, to run talking circles And that requires, of course, that they do the work that's involved to become ready for that, which you've been a part of, Lee, and an indelible part of. I'm looking forward to how that deepens and opens up with this second group, because some of them are there for the second time in continuance and others are new. But I'm also really looking forward to the university offering you a chance to open that up. What Tulaya and I have been talking about in the Talking Circle training courses is that what we really have ahead of us is almost a department where there's a 301 level course that is training for trainers. There's a 201 course that's all practicum. There's a 101 course that's the actual training, the initial training. And just as I didn't learn to do that overnight, I didn't learn to do that in 7 weeks. I grew up with it and didn't learn to do it in 7 weeks or 8 weeks. It takes time. It takes time for people to do the work. It takes time for them to find a way to find a safe space within themselves, which is the first step. And then to be able to hold that safe space for themselves in order to be able to hold it for others. And that's how we begin the course. We begin with that. There's a lot of use, Lee, I think both you and I and Phil all use a lot of reference to the sacred tree on which I built my original courses with the youth in upstate New York. And there's no way around it really, because we all have a version of that wheel in our cultures, no matter what. Both sides of my family have a version of the wheel. And, and I find the more I work with it, the more I find it's based on what your geography is, where you live, what you see when you look to the north, to the east, to the west, to the south. Certainly that's where our colors tend to come from. And the beauty of being able to reference yourself in the natural world is the beginning of them being able to root themselves in earth and sky, and to be able from that to know that they're safe wherever they are. And that feeling is the blood of that. That thought is the fire of that. I mean, that's where we're working right now. We're working right now with the folks that you'll see in a week or so. And some of you may see along the way in courses in the university. I know there are people interested in doing more work with Lee. I think what we offer in the university will be an opportunity to reshape what communication is in the world. Certainly that's what talking circles are like, and an opportunity to reshape what education looks like in the world closer to an Indigenous model. Because as Harvard so fluidly says, Harvard identifies 8 intelligences, essentially 8 ways of learning that the two-legged has of learning. And conventional Western education addresses 2 of those intelligences. However, Indigenous education routinely addresses all 8. So it's something to think about.
Yes.
That's about what I got for you guys. Shana.
Good. And I would say this, is that I'm really thinking deeply about this and talking to Tonja and Tulaya about this. And that is that I think we came to a conclusion at our last gathering that if we were to give the current systems of higher education, secondary education, elementary education grades according to the quality of those leaders they've produced in every area of human development, in the condition we find ourselves today as a human family, I think we'd all flunk them all. You give them all Fs, except there's exceptional ones like Dr. Nicole Brown, of course, Sister Elena, Susanna Bodin from Harvard. We have those, Dr. Lee Brown, that are exceptions to that rule. But by and large, being a 16-year associate professor, tenured faculty member, inside that balloon, you have this kind of safety thing. You go stop at your faculty meetings and, give your little reports and write your little stuff, all your footnotes on it and so forth, and you're just fine. But we broke that mold over at the University of Lethbridge. And so what I would say is this: in a way, we have to decolonize every word that's associated to current universities. For instance, the name, the deans, everything. It needs to be, we need to step in there and let go of all preconceived ideas and say, okay, what is Indigenous education? And really have a dialogue. What does this mean? Indigenous, what does that mean? And so we already have the integrated scheme of thought. That part, we have it from, I think, is closely articulated from Dan Jordan, and as I've ever seen. He outlines that. We have our 16 principles. We have these kind of things as a foundation. You might say that we know there are the natural laws, and we know that by actualizing them, we have a lot of research to back this up, but that's where the living document comes in. That when we did this, we did this, Lee, I remember, but back, you're part of it, back in 1998, there was a change going on between the Assembly of First Nations chiefs, and we were asked to be one of eight groups, Indigenous groups in Canada, to research the question of social welfare reform. And so out of the eight, we were kind of came out on top, and then we were asked to integrate all the reports. So our final was community healing and social welfare reform. It had all these things in there, which in 1998 were very challenging. I mean, very, very, but now today, with what's happened with this whole money's going into the child welfare, because child welfare and social welfare are just interdependent. So what we're doing, this is where Noah's working on, we're creating a living document in that we're being able to put all this up here where we were in 1998, but then invite, and this is where we can get help, invite selected relatives to come in and comment, to put in cutting edge research and so forth. So this becomes a living, breathing document in terms of how we transform the system. That's the vision we're working on that part. So, so why don't we do this? Why don't we have Brother Lee share what he wants, whatever he could share there, and then we're going to have Tulaya. It would be really nice to give him a little slideshow of what you put together so far. She's been working so hard, and even we changed, the idea of deans, and now she's the leading the charge. Anyway, we've come up with some name of what's going on here, what she's doing. So we're letting go of anything, any preconceived, just like, in fact, what we're doing, Brother Lee, is we're following exactly what it says in the Tablet of the True Seeker. That's how we're going after this. Exactly that beginning, those beginning paragraphs, that's exactly what we're gonna do as best we can. So Brother Lee, please.
What do you want me to, I just popped in, what do you want me to say?
Just everybody just briefly introduce themselves. So just a little bit about who you are, where you come from. That's,
a brief justification for my existence.
Right, exactly. And probably the most embarrassing thing you've ever done in your life.
Well,
no.
What was yours? Sorry, I came late.
That's all right. I already shared mine. Oh, did you? No. Anyway, please, brother. There's so many beautiful.
I was at the University of Lethbridge and did a 3-hour lecture with my pants unzipped. That's pretty high up on the list.
I remember that time too.
Yeah, people were smiling. I thought I finally got audience rapport. I've been involved in a lot of educational developments in my life, program developments. One was in the last the Ancient Cedars Zoom I went to the other day, Phil. There was a guy there, was African American and Native, that knew you, and he works at that college there at Lummi.
Yes.
Said you donated a bunch of books. I've been thinking about that too. You donated some books. They have that Find the Lawyer conference there every year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was on the committee that helped create that college with Northwest Affiliated Tribes.
Yeah.
And Caleb Shields was on there from Fort Peck, and Lee Seth from Lapoi. And Jacob Binghorn. I think that's where I met Jacob Binghorn. And Ray Spang was on that Northern Cheyenne.
Yeah, I remember him. I remember Ray's gone on to the other side camp now.
Ray passed on.
Yeah.
Anyway, starting a college from scratch, and I was thinking about that in relationship to what we're doing here. Like, there's really in terms of like thinking about it as a department or developing the guiding vision, the values, the policies and procedures, if there's going to be any. That's something that we'll have to look at as time goes by. You know, it's easy to teach a few classes, but to actually create an institution which has an enduring vision is something that we'd have to put our minds to.
Yes, yes.
And Phil and I have done it before. You know, Phil and I were there about the time. You don't think of the University of Washington as being as a University of Alabama. But, you know, in 1967, I don't know what year Phil started at UW, but I started in 67.
1963.
63, so you were there before me. But 67 was the first year that a lot of Black students came.
Yes,
It's a big year. A lot of Mexican Americans, about 70 Mexican Americans. At that time, I think there was 8 natives and 65,000 white students. 65,000 white students and less than 500 people of color on the campus. That was a big year because, and as Phil would know, there was native nothing on the campus.
Exactly.
There's no student association. I helped start that, the University of Washington powwow, which has endured for 50 years. It's been going 50 years. That's an amazing thing, the powwow there. And the Ethnic Cultural Center, we created that. We created the Ethnic Theater. Remember John Kaufman and all those guys? They all passed on too.
Remember very clearly.
We had a Native theater group, and they kind of got wiped out when AIDS came in. But we created an Ethnic Cultural Center with 4 rooms. One room, it doesn't seem like much, but it was just a meeting room for Native students to meet in, a meeting room for Mexican Americans or Chicano students, a meeting room for Asian students, and a meeting room for Black students, to have a space on campus where we could meet. And we also created an ethnic cultural library. That was all created by us, you know, and the Education Opportunity Program. I was chairman of the committee that created the Native Studies program. I think we had 19 classes and 19 different faculties. That was a strategy. Those things all take a lot of effort. And when I met the Dean of Arts and Sciences, his name was, what's it, Dean? I'm losing his name right now, but anyway, me and Lloyd Pinkham and Richard Takube, who was an Apache, we went to meet with the Dean of Arts and Sciences to ask if we could have Native Studies. And we all participated in the Black student participation of the administration building to get Black Studies. Because we knew there was only 8 Native students. We knew that we weren't going to get Native Studies until Black students got Black Studies. When the Black students got Black Studies, and I was in that occupation myself, we were surrounded by the riot squad. It was quite a deal. It was on the news, you know, national news, big thing. And so I had their support, you know, because we helped them, they helped us. And we went to see the dean, and Dean Cartwright, that was his name. And
Dean Cartwright.
We said we would like to have Native Studies, and he was smoking a cigar when we were in his office, and he puffed that cigar and put the cigar smoke in our face and said, "Native Studies is beneath the dignity of this campus." And a year later, we had it. You know, we got support from all different organizations. We went to the governor of the state. We had support. We had support from all 22 reservations. I know there's more now, but there's 22 reservations in the state then. We had letters from almost every tribal council. And the dean came in front of that meeting. I thought, well, this is going to be a fight. This would be a fight. And I was chairing the meeting, and the dean stood up and said, "Native Studies is long overdue." I thought, this guy's a politician, man, poking one way and he goes that way. I had no respect for him. I was expecting a fight. Nobody even give me a fight. I would have had some respect. But then we got our Native Studies with our strategy. But there's strategies and ways of doing things. And I think to really create and now Phil knows all this, of course, and a lot of it is already done, like in the writings and the things we've already done. It just has to be structured in a way that it's structured towards the Four Worlds University. You know, it takes work we've already done to work. We just have to put it into a framework where it gives us guidance toward the vision that we have for this university. As Phil stated, the vision in the last meeting, which is to bring Indigenous teachings to the forefront of thought.
Yes. Yes, and a way. And
Anyway, that's my 10 minutes.
You're beautiful, no, beautiful, beautiful, because it's about sharing sharing indigenous wisdom around Mother Earth and awakening indigenous wisdom. So it's two. It's a sharing and awakening of the indigenous wisdom everywhere on Mother Earth, and we happen to be, the catalyst here, and as well from the prophecies. It says that the indigenous people of the Americas and all those, we're not trying to be better than. It just says that they will become so enlightened, they will enlighten the world. But you take the word enlighten has two dimensions. It has one, spiritually enlightened, but it also means how we think, the intellectual way we think, the whole, because it's connected. The spiritual process of your thought and your spirit has to be like a poetry. And so that's how do we rebalance that? And I think that's what we've really described so well in all these years of work. I mean, Lee and I have been at it for 50 some years. And before that, our teachers that contributed to us were before them and before them and before them and before them. I mean, we could go on and recount all those teachers that helped us along the way. Thomas Benyaka, just on and on. I can just feel them, see them.
Yep.
So that's Brother Lee. Now, really great. We have we're gonna have Tulaya be the pinch hitter. I mean the cleanup hitter here when she's gonna share what she's been doing. We have with us Sister Angela Ford, and Sister Angela, I've gotten a chance to be close with her husband and her wonderful husband Scott. And so please, Angela, share your little background. Share what you're doing in terms of your study, your native studies, please.
Yes, hi everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm currently enrolled at University of North Carolina, Pembroke, and I'm studying.
You have a picture? Can we see you?
Oh, sure.
I'd love to see you.
There we go. There we go.
Good. Okay, perfect.
Hi, and so it's American Indian Studies, and currently I'm enrolled in the classes of Indigenous women and Native American religion and tradition. I'm just learning about ceremony. I'm learning about the role of the woman and the importance of, feminine input and influence. And so there's just a lot that's been happening. Yeah.
Well, we're so glad you're here. This has kind of become what happened was in my old 77-year-old ramblings of my mind, I was thinking about this time at this point. But when I wrote my invitation, it was for next Sunday at this time, which is great because we have time to, and all of a sudden this impromptu wonderful circle just came together to further make relatives. And now we're to the place where, to summarize this for us, is my dear Tonja Tulaya, who's faithfully for, I don't know how long it's been, a year or so, pursuing this, and herself developed an incredible program based on 4 Worlds materials for the Young Presidents Group, leading with compassion and spirituality. So Tonja, we're yours.
Greetings, everyone. From Thailand, we just had the beginning of a new day here. So with honor to be in your presence. Allow me to share with you this deck. I'm calling it the Manifesto, to just get you started on some of the things that is being discussed, and would love to find some clarity and your input as well. Let me just share this real quick. Sorry, I'm a bit like, it's really early in the morning here, trying to get things happening. Okay. Sorry, I'm a bit like, it's really early in the morning here, trying to get things happening. Okay, here we go. All right. Play. So this is the tagline for our university. Forwards Indigenous University, a new global civilization, merging Indigenous wisdom and modern innovation. This is a mission statement that Dextry has drafted. Forward Indigenous University is dedicated to sharing Indigenous wisdom fused and support with cutting-edge Western science to understand and resolve the social, cultural, political, economic, and organizational and leadership challenges facing our human family. The vision is to bring Indigenous wisdom from all around the world, from all lineages, and presenting it on this platform, and anything relating and supporting Indigenous traditions and wisdom, including the course from Dr. Sam, which is about breath work. Forwards Indigenous University introduces a new paradigm of higher education, resources, and global community for those seeking to align with the natural laws of nature. And the vision, I mean, right now is that is an online platform where wisdom keepers from around the world are sharing and awakening Indigenous wisdom everywhere. We have not gone to this part yet. This is the part where Elise, Joan, and myself were discussing for a couple of occasions now that the Forwards Indigenous University should be fostering the 8 intelligences. We'll get into this slide at some point. This is what I've drafted so far. The four learning circles and the branches of it, but you know, this can be worked on to with your help to properly define or add if necessary.
One of these.
Any comments and thoughts and input, please, you know, feel free to share with me. And as this is a live document that will continue to evolve and develop. The platforms that we currently have right now are 4 platforms. The YouTube channel, which, you know, all this is just very, very beginning of it, just a conceptual process right now. But the YouTube, I thought, would be really important to connect. As Dextry always teaches, storytelling is a way to connect to the heart. And so I thought it would be important to have clips or snippets or YouTube videos to connect with the 7th generation and keeping the stories alive. And there is immersive platform where it is a fully facilitated online learning process. And this will be similar to the Talking Circle leadership course that is taking place right now, where elder advisors are involved every week to interact with students and support the learning process live. And the other platform is the self-paced one, which is something that will be completely automated and done at the student's pace. And so that would be, you know, occasional live meeting with elders set at a certain date and time, and the students who do the self-paced version can come in together to meet. And at a much further stage in this process would be the retreat, which I think would be really important at some point, that we all meet in person for an intensive for people who are really dedicated to deepening the process and going through the rites of passage and initiations that is a part of the knowledge and the wisdom. Right now, we are discussing undergraduate, graduate, and doctorate, but nothing has been defined in terms of requirements or, what is going to be available. Of course, I'm sure that emotional competency from Dr. Lee Brown, for sure, and Elise Joan, I'm sure the Talking Circle leadership will be in all these categories. Right now, what I have for our faculty are the four. It seems like I will be adding many more onto this page, and maybe it will spill over to additional pages. And that's, at some point I will be, together with Elise Joan, I'll be going deeper into the whole map of a Talking Circle leadership department, I guess we can call that. And then I would love to see a forward Indigenous application at some point as well, where we engage with anybody who has a mobile and internet reception. So this is what I have for now. The intention of this is for everybody to contribute and share and give input. And also, thinking far ahead into the 7 generations and really creating something that will be very relevant for the young generations ahead. Right now, just yesterday, Elise, Joan, and I were discussing about what are the baseline parameters for incoming faculty. Let me just share.
And Tonja, even there, I think even the word faculty, I think that even how we name, our teachers, or even those names, so we're completely stepping away from any kind of connection. I mean, unless it makes sense, unless the word makes sense. So questioning every word.
Yes.
A beautiful presentation.
Thank you, Deb.
Beautiful.
Well, let me, yeah, you mentioned you wanted to term it elder advisor for our instructors. This is something that we'd love to talk to me about, how we can adjust a few of these things on our version of the platform, and many other questions that I'd like to ask you, Tiffany, later this week on our version of the platform, and many other questions that I'd like to ask you, Tiffany, later this week. But let me share with you this course parameter, so everybody is aware what is being discussed and what is being raised right now, just to make sure that all the elder advisors coming on to the university are aligned in the parameters of all courses that are being presented. Some of them are very straightforward. Some of them, like for example, here, the authentic cultural frame of reference was something that I brought up because, coming from Asia, not everybody knows what an eagle would represent, for example, so
Yes.
helping every single culture understand what the cultural the cultural frame of reference means. And having a visual component, which includes illustration, graphic, or film, is really important as part of the education experience. I know for a fact that more and more, you know, with the current times, people are just so busy, and they like everything concise. Almost the other week, at the beginning of this year, I decided to try out this app called Lucid, where it takes a book or any form of knowledge and interpret it into just a visual infographics. So you don't have to read the entire book. You just read, you just kind of read the illustration, and there will be some blurbs of text just to support it. And that was how I thought it was a really interesting concept, and it's very popular these days, infographics. And you can kind of, through that, you're able to understand the concept in a very quick way. In, you know, like I read that supposedly book of 300-400 pages in a matter of days. And initial assessment would be important. A means of students to self-evaluate is also, I feel, it kind of underlines the whole spiritual process, the self-inquiry that I've come to learn through my own spiritual studies. And the grading system was something we also touched upon, that the A, B, C, D, F may not be relevant in,
Exactly.
in our university. I don't like the word failure because, just because maybe as you're going through the course, something happens and you're unable to really put your heart and soul into a course, doesn't mean you're a failure. Maybe you're invited to repeat a course because anything can happen in life. You can be grieving the passing of your loved ones and not have the heart to be continuing a course at that time.
So I would say this, Tonja, that this is a whole discussion to be framed. But I think that what I was so beautifully seen is that we have, just like Brother Lee said, we have the all the foundation that just needs to be integrated. So I want to share as well. Del, can you, Tonja, you've been your co-presenter. We have a contribution we're just going to make to World Unity Week, and it's something, a big wound I've been working on. Can you take that, see if you can go to that link I put into this is one of the courses we're going to offer, that link we put into the chat.
Yeah.
See what,
pull it up.
see if you can put it up.
What does it take? Okay, it's coming up.
Should be the Christian Journey to the Sacred Tree.
No, it doesn't take me there, Dexy.
Where does it take you?
It takes me to my drive. You might need to share the document link.
To your drive?
The document that you want to share?
Yeah, one second. So what I'll do is, 1 second, because I think it's real relevant here. Let me go to my Noah. What do I do here? I've got this this document. I've got this a piece in my Google Doc, in my Google Drive, and I want to share it over here in Zoom.
Yeah, so what you could do, Phil, is if you right click on that document.
Hang on 1 second. One second.
Okay. Is it like the little tab of that information, kind of like rectangular on like the?
Okay, now, so what I've got here, I've got it in front of me. It says PDF suggested, and here it is in front of me. It's green, so it just says PDF. So what would I do from there? It's a PDF document in my drive.
So when you right click on it, is that when it says PDF?
Yeah, so when I right click on it, wait a minute, here it's open now. It's open, it says open with, and then I can do that or I can download it. It's right now it's a PDF. So do I simply make it a Google Doc?
Yeah, if you could share your screen, I could talk you through it.
Okay, so I want to, so I need to share my screen now, maybe.
Yeah, so if you
Let me
click that,
try it.
yeah.
Okay,
then-
so you all have to bear with me here, but I think it's worth it. That's the first time we've shared this. Let's see here. So share my screen here. Okay. Share my screen. Okay, here we go. You all have to bear with me here, but I think it's worth it. That's the first time we've shared this. Let's see here. So share my screen here. Okay. Share my screen. Okay, here we go.
Cool.
See that?
All right, yeah, so what we could do here is,
Okay, no, this is fine. I can get over it. So
Okay.
let me just share really quickly. So when we wrote the Sacred Tree in 1985, we developed a curricula called the Journey of the Sacred Tree. It's a whole curriculum for young people. And then before the first big Rio conference back in '92, we put together and was funded by this, hang on a second here. Yeah, so 1988, we published it, and then we, with the UC, anyway, it tells all about how we did this and how we piloted tested and from different churches and so on and so forth. So what we've done is we've taken the Sacred Tree, which gives a whole fresh look at the Bible. And because one of the main issues we have is spiritual healing. How do we heal all this, especially among our indigenous people? There's a tremendous wound between our relatives because of what was named the name of Christianity. So this is why I'm just releasing this today as a final day of which is World Unity Week. So we've been preparing this way back there. So we just have the Sacred Tree, the decoration here. Then we our contents. We got our whole. And this is what we want to deliver online, and we're going to have indigenous relatives who are Christian, indigenous people, be the deliverers of this whole thing, and others that wish to do it. So we're just going to make partnerships with churches that want to engage with us in this whole new dialogue between us as indigenous peoples, like little gifts. The different trees.
if you still wanted to share it, Phil,
Sure.
you could, if you would scroll back to the top,
Sure.
there should be, see that those ellipses on the top right,
Right.
the like 3 dots right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can click that.
Right. Where now?
Here, move your mouse. Yeah. See the 3 dots vertically?
Right here. Got it here.
Yeah, that, and then share.
Okay, share. Got it.
And then it should pop up with the thing where get
Got
links.
it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
I got
cool,
it.
cool.
I got it. Thank you so much. You answered the question, so I can put it in there.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you so much. So anyway, so it goes on, and we go through all these lessons, and the graphics and so forth that I've gathered around, and so there's a Mormon. So it takes a whole journey,
Gachi, will you kindly drop that link into the chat?
I'm going to, but this is ready to go. And I think that we have indigenous people that want, I think there's churches that probably would love to engage in this, but this take a little bit of strategy. But I just wanted to, I haven't told anybody about it till now, today. We've been quietly doing this, but I want to let it go for World Interfaith Harmony Week. to be our little gift on the table. Okay, please let me get out of this stop sharing thing. So how's everybody? We're 7. We had a little taste today of one another, getting a chance to visit and so on, share things. And here, let me go ahead and put this right in here if I can. I think that should do it. Can you see if that Google link I put in there takes you to?
Yep, that takes us there.
Got it? Thank you so much. So, Sister Joan, why don't you give us a closing prayer? Be really great.
Okay. Hear the dusty. Elisi, talstilla. Woduhi, echielohi. Jueji, honey. Alesha wititaligi. Gali eliga. Anali eliga. Jalstilla. Ni woduhi. 4 Worlds Indigenous University. Shawititaligi. Anali eliga.
Oh.
Here the dusty Alehaste ne adadoli study. Alini uaduhi anagea alianaskaya ani. Shout to Ligi anadi eliga. Helsila.
Oh.
Nuguja. Yenena. Inalena. Wado.
So thank you so much, sister, and any relatives who have come in on this video, which I'll be sharing, know that this is one of those things of an old 77-year-old mind intending to have a meeting today at this moment, this time, instead planning it for next Sunday, which is even better because we have more time. And then other relatives serendipitously joining us for this beautiful little time we had, which we'll share along with you. So that's how this appeared. I have no idea what was going to happen. We would have invited everybody but next, be ready, because next Sunday, we are going to have a good one. A good making relatives, as this one has been, but it's just growing. So thank you so much for everybody coming. Those who are here, the Everywhere Spirit, those who are listening, and we'll see you all next Sunday. Now get Sister Joni, give me the right date. Next Sunday is, again, so we just highlight that, is
Next Sunday should be the 13th.
The 13th. It's the 13th. So on the 13th, we're going to get together at 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Eastern time for a get together where we'll have a lot more than we're sharing right here in this video to share and report. So thank you all for coming, and we'll talk soon.